This is the Fight for Your Health, the show that teaches you how to master the fine art of living your life on purpose and have a longer, healthier, and happier life through the martial arts lifestyle. The show is hosted by Professor Buitron and his co-host, Grand Master Richard Hackworth. These two experts have combined their efforts and are on a mission to make the world a safer, healthier, and happier place through the martial arts lifestyle. Now, to tell it like it is, here are your hosts.
Hey guys, I want to welcome you all to our first podcast of Fight for Your Health. And this is coming together from my brother from another mother, which is Grand Master Richard Hackworth. And we're touching base on what the martial arts have lost, especially a lot of martial artists kind of find a way into a dojo or into a kun or into an academy. And somewhere along the way, they start missing out on certain aspects of why are we here? Is it just fighting? Is it fellowship? Or is it to better ourselves within ourselves? So, brother, how are we doing today?
Hey, I'm doing amazing. I'm excited about this premiere episode to get things started and just so much to talk about on these topics.
Absolutely. So we're going to cover a wide range from conditioning to that, Chinese Oriental medicine to being fit, both mentally and physically. What can we do for that? And I think all the guests that we're going to be bringing in have a specialty to bring together, because not only learning how to fight is what's involved in martial arts, there's a lot of aspects to it that we want to
Yes.
bring back to life.
Well, I know personally some of the things that we've already got done so far. Like one of the things I was excited about was the logo in particular of the man lifting a bull. And it goes back to almost every culture has this myth or legend that represents, power and ultimate health. And it's of a man lifting a cow or a bull. And this is something that's actually been done where men will get a baby cow or calf and they start picking it up when it's a baby, and they do it every day. And by the time the thing's full grown, they can still do it. And the first time I saw like actual proof of this that made me believe it was an American power lifter named Paul Anderson did that. And he was probably the strongest man on the planet up until his death. And so just that connection to the historical aspect of the logo got me excited. And then the other thing is that a lot of people, I think, don't understand the deep historical significance of why the martial arts were developed. And originally, it was developed to help monks become suitable protectors of their temple and to give them better health, because most of them sat around and meditated for hours on end. So they had a very sedentary lifestyle. And that sedentary lifestyle made them weak and sick. And so the story goes that the Bodhidharma, an Indian prince, was the one that got them moving and got the martial arts aspect started to actually be a health and wellness system for the monks. And here we are, 1,600 years later, bringing that back to full circle where we're introducing the martial arts as a health and wellness system once again.
Absolutely. And you see it through all the different cultures, and you see it through all the different types of martial arts, because a lot of people just want to focus on one, but there's so many cultures that have fighting ways, and fighting is a good aspect, but why are you fighting? For the love of the community. You want the love of your family, the love of your neighbors, the love of everybody that's around us. You want to protect them, but within that, one had to be fit to be able to do that. And people look at fitness and they say you have to look like Frank Zane or Arnold or Lila Brada. That's a different story. One has to realize that there's different types of conditioning. There's conditioning for the ring competition. There's conditioning for like a pugilistic bout, like boxing or savate or Thai boxing. And then there's conditioning for yourself to be able to perform the art that you're teaching if you're in those levels. And so each one of the conditioning types takes time to do and time to understand, because not all of them are done for the same purpose. Understand what? And I think we all understand that. But our guest has some great stuff and great pedagogy on this type of mindset.
Well, but as we bring our guest in, Andrea Harkins, I'd just like to say that I think she's going to bring to the show some of the benefits to martial arts beyond the physical as well. And because there's so much, and a lot of it is described in her books. I think one of her bestsellers is a book called The Martial Arts Woman. And I'll give her a chance to introduce that herself. And then I'm a big fan of her work. I don't know if you guys can see these books, but definitely you want to check out her website, themartialartswoman.com. And Andrea, are you here with us?
I am here. So thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm really excited. And I always love sharing about martial arts, and I often do talk about more than the fitness aspect. And that's probably what I'm going to do today, although I'm sure I'll touch on fitness as well, as we delve into 10 reasons why martial art training is the best sport or activity for women.
You're absolutely correct.
So what would you say is the first primary reason?
The thing I always go back to as far as the best reason for martial arts, because I think when you have this, it helps you with everything else, and that is confidence. My number one here on my list, and I'll be looking at my notes, but my number one thing here on my list is that women need confidence. So do men and children, of course. So everything that I talk about today actually applies to everyone, but I always find there's a niche for women when we're talking about these topics. And women need to realize that they are more capable than they think they are. A lot of times women limit themselves, or they think they're not as good as other people. And I find that happens a lot in women's lives who just don't have that confidence to pursue their hopes and dreams. Whereas martial arts teaches them through very methodical, slow steps that they are much more capable than they realize. I never thought I would be a martial artist, really, or earn a black belt someday. But everything that I did in those steps along the way showed me, hey, I'm more. I am more. We may not be as strong as men physically because, let's face it, men and women are different. May not be as strong, but martial arts help us realize that we have strength that is equally powerful to that of men. It's different, but it's equally powerful. And so confidence for me is always the first thing that leads to every other positive aspect of martial art training for me.
All right.
Absolutely.
So would you like to introduce the 10 reasons, and then we'll let you go into each one by one?
Okay. So reason number one was the confidence. I'm going to talk about self-defense, mindset, balance, self-improvement, self-image. We're going to talk about flexibility, fitness, overcoming abuse, because this is a topic that comes up a lot, and a very strange number 10, and that is increased capacity for love. So I think you might find it interesting as I go through some of these. And some are very typical benefits, but others, have a little twist to them.
Now, as you go into those real quick, I wanted to say, I think in your first book, you interviewed around 25 women. And do you think that, what is the one characteristic that was common to all 25, do you think?
I think probably confidence was the one characteristic, because each of them learned to overcome a situation only because they finally gained enough self-confidence to do so. And so I often will rely on confidence as being one of the biggest factors that women gain. But some of these other things, almost all of these other things in some way are touched on in the book. The book is The Martial Arts Woman. It's available on Amazon, and it's also available through me if people like signed copies or something like that. So it's a great book that explores really womanhood, but with specific examples of women's lives and how they apply to martial arts to their lives, whether in a positive way or to overcome a situation. But it's always that confidence key that they learn in martial arts that finally gives them the strength and empowerment to overcome the situations that they've been through or to prevent future situations from happening that might be similar or might be devastating. So that brings me really sort of to number 2, which is self-defense. So self-defense is also based on confidence. When you are confident, we all know if you're a woman walking down the street and you look confident, the perpetrator who's looking for a victim probably won't pick you because you look like you might fight back. So that confidence factor is super important, but self-defense is the skills and the training that a woman needs. In my podcast, I interview martial art women all over the world. And the thing that so frequently comes up is sexual abuse that these women have been through. And so they decide to learn self-defense or martial art to empower themselves beyond that. But what's really important is that women experience and learn self-defense much earlier than that. We don't want to get to the stage where something happens and then you're learning a self-defense. So learning a self-defense is so important to do it before something might happen in your life, because it's what trains you not only how to get out of a situation, but how to avoid it, maybe how to never actually have to face it. And self-defense can provide them with that skill. So that's a huge benefit to martial arts and martial art training and self-defense training.
You're absolutely correct, because confidence is one thing that everybody needs, especially within the self-defense world. And many individuals and many instructors also have to understand that not all self-defense techniques apply to all different statures, body types, physiques, from kids to women to men. Everything changes, and one has to be able to understand that. And it's not that people can't do it, but it's just like you said, there's certain limitations that one can do and one can do better. Okay. And you see that within the different arts throughout the world, like as you say. Okay. And here in the United States, it's usually an event that triggers off for a woman to go look for martial arts. Okay. Something occurred that shouldn't have happened. But I'm with you. We have to be proactive instead of reactive, right? And we have to start making sure, and that's what's beautiful about what you're doing, is that we have to tell our little girls and our teenagers that girls can do this as well, and they can do it better. Okay, and that we have to break that barrier, And I don't know about you all, but for a lot of martial arts, it was always for every 8, 9 men, there was one girl in the class.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have to make sure that it's 1-to-1, the ratios have to come in, and I'm going to take capoeira as for example. My wife does it. It's different in Brazil as it is now. In Brazil, at one particular time, it was 95% men that did capoeira and 5% women that did it. Now it's 70% women that do capoeira and 30% men that do it. Understand what I'm saying? In Europe, it's 90% women that do it, and here in the United States, it's the same. It's the same way. It's probably about 80-20. So we have to kind of look at what they've done, and learn from it and expand from it. And I think you are doing an excellent job doing that. I can agree with you more. It's confidence.
Yeah. Thank you.
So
Well,
with all the unique societal and personal challenges that women face, what do you think would be the next thing that would be a good reason for women to learn martial arts?
the next one on my list, and I sort of did these in order of importance, but maybe not, is mindset. Because martial arts truly does train your mind as well as your body. Your mind learns to tell your body that you can do these physical endeavors, these physical activities, do this jump front kick, try this punching technique, whatever it might be, learn this kata. And so your mind is very powerful. It tells you really if you can or cannot do something. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. Now, this is really crucially important for women in the roles that they play in life: mother, sister, daughter. They carry a lot of the emotional burdens of family life. And if they don't have a positive and powerful mindset, you can easily fall into an abyss of negativity in your life, whether you're a woman or not. But the roles that women play, it's utterly important that they have that positive, confident mindset, and that they allow their mind to remind them how strong they are and how capable they are of fulfilling all these roles and doing all the multitasking that they do in their lives, such as, maybe working full-time, raising children, and being a good wife, mother, and friend, and sister. So mindset is important for all of us. If we don't have that positive outlook and we don't allow our mind to tell us that we can do something, then we'll never fulfill our roles the way we want to, and we'll never find the success in life that we really want to find. So mindset comes in on my number 3 here, although it's crucially important to have that good mindset. And the confidence, again, touches this. So you'll see how confidence sort of touches everything that I talk about today. But I think the mindset is very key for the roles that women play in life and in their martial art practice or whatever it is that they're doing that they really love to do.
I think you're making some very valid points, and I'm excited to hear your other reasons. So that was number 3. Are we moving on to number 4
Yep.
now?
Number 4 is balance. Work-life balance is difficult to maintain for all of us. We know that. We have work, we have family, we have our personal endeavors. How do you balance all that out? What's more important to you? Well, that's just part of the equation. The other part of balance in your life is the spirit, mind, and body balance. And these fluctuate depending on life. They fluctuate constantly. And if there's too much fluctuation in any one area, it kind of disrupts the whole system of mind, body, spirit. So martial arts provides that balance. That's something you don't learn in other places in other ways. The mind, body, spirit balance is something that when you practice a martial art, you bring all of those together. You have your moment of meditation, you have your moment of working out, physically. You have that moment of realization in the mind that you're powerful and that you can do these amazing things. There's repetition and memorization. And I think women take this into their lives as they navigate motherhood and their relationships. And I'm just trying to separate out what it is different about women, because again, balance is something we all need. But when we're talking about women and martial arts, we know that there's a time when women face different obstacles in their own lives that are different, inherently different from men, such as motherhood or things like that. And when they have family, it can be difficult to balance it all. But martial arts allows you to learn how to balance the mind, body, spirit, and that helps you balance, the life and work balance as well. I think it's really important for women as they navigate through their lives that they can balance these aspects of their lives and feel fulfilled and feel like they're doing something positive for society, for their families, for their communities. So that's balance.
Absolutely. What's the fourth one?
Well, actually, I think we're on the fifth one. I don't know, unless I skipped one. I don't know. Self-improvement. And I'll just say, when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I didn't have any self-improvement in mind. I really, people would ask me, what do you want to do with your life? As a young woman or a young teenager, what do you want to do? What are your goals? And I'd be like, I don't know. I don't have any. It was just funny. My husband, when we first got married, he's like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know. He's like, how can you not know? I don't know. When I started going to martial art classes, though, I stepped back and I was like, I really like these classes. They make me feel like I can do things that I didn't realize. And it gave me the power, I guess, and the dedication factor and the confidence to step back and say, actually, there are things I want to do. I was afraid before to say I want to do these things. I was afraid of rejection or afraid of failure. And so I think learning focus and discipline in martial arts finally allowed me to believe in myself and say, I want to write books someday. I want to teach martial arts. I want to have a professional career. I want to have children. I was able to start deciding all of these self-improvement factors that I didn't want to talk about before. Breaking boards was like breaking through those little barriers, and self-improvement became something that I pursue constantly now. For the past 30 years in martial arts, every day I seek self-improvement. How can I write better? How can I inspire others better? What can I do today that's going to make a positive change in the world? And those are truly big accomplishments when you think about it. And when you're talking about improving yourself, because improving yourself improves everything. It improves your family, your community, your society, your world. So self-improvement is number 5 on my list.
Well,
Are you ready to?
Yeah, I'd like to hear how that leads into number 6.
Yeah, so self-improvement, and now we're going to talk about self-image. The lack of desire to improve yourself at some point in your life it really affects your self-image and how you see yourself. And again, for me, society puts a lot of demands on how we're supposed to see ourselves, especially as women. I really hate even the martial art advertisements where it's a woman in like very little clothing doing a kick, because I'm like, that is just not reality. And that's creating a self-image that women cannot live up to. We're regular women, martial artists. We can't look like that. I mean, these are models and these are people who are telling us how we're supposed to look. So it really puts a lot of demands on how we see ourselves. Personally, with my body as a younger woman, I used to hate my legs, my thighs. I was not thin like some of the other girls, and they were so pretty and thin and looked really perfect to me. And I thought, I don't like myself because I have these big chunky thighs. I'm not thin like them. And it bothered me for a long, long time. And then I began martial arts, and kicks became one of my favorite things. And I went, wait a minute. That makes sense. That's why I have these big, strong legs. I am a kicker. I like to kick. So you don't recognize your purpose sometimes. You diminish your own self-image over time because of what you think people expect from you and how you're supposed to look and how you're supposed to be, when in fact, you are built the way you're built for a reason. And, when women start to recognize that, when they step on the dojo floor and they're short or they're heavy set or they're too skinny or they're shy, suddenly it's like, no, I'm none of those things. I'm a martial artist. I'm a practitioner. I'm self-improving myself. I am worthy of being who I am. So self-image is a very huge benefit.
I think your personal example of turning that emotional obstacle about your legs into a sense of empowerment through your martial arts training really illustrates that point. And so what can we look at for number 7?
The next one is really flexibility. And, if we want to be literal, yes, I have a very flexible body for a woman my age. I'm 58. I can still do high kicks and I'm fairly flexible. But flexibility is not only physical, there's also a very mental aspect to flexibility. And that's the flexibility to see the options that are set before you. And martial arts teaches you that, right? You begin martial arts with a very probably closed mind on who you think you are and what you think you can do. But flexibility of the mind allows you to see the options and opportunities that you may not have seen before. I probably would have never written a book if not for martial arts. I always wanted to write a book. I had that thought process, but I didn't have the flexibility in my mind to think that I would write something about martial arts one day. I always thought maybe it'll be a novel, maybe it'll be a life story, maybe it'll be, poetry, which I do like to write. I didn't have the flexibility to think maybe it'll be something else and this will just fall into place. But when I started learning martial arts, I was thinking more. I had a more global view of who I was. And I started thinking, what are my lifelong goals? How can they come into play now? And recognize that martial arts gave me the flexibility to think there's more than I recognize. And then I started thinking about writing a martial art book. And it was only because I allowed my mind to be as flexible as I allowed my body to be. So flexibility is super important in your thoughts. And, the more stringent you make your goals, sometimes the more difficult they are to achieve. But in martial arts, I never thought I'd earn black belts or do any of the things that I did until I allowed my mind to be a little more flexible in my thought process. And it goes right along with the self-image and the self-improvement and the confidence. It kind of all leads to that as well.
With that being said, self-image and the confidence, when in your martial art travel did you say, what rank did you say, did you start noticing a change? What rank? Was it an intermediate rank? Was it an advanced rank? Was it when you got your black belt? Was it when you were beginner? When was it when you said, I'm changing?
Yeah, it was very early. It was, I think it was probably from my yellow belt test when I was testing, and you test it in big groups of people. It's kind of how they did it. White belts, yellow belt, you test. And I think it was my yellow belt test. And I was standing in an attention stance. Everybody was lined up who was testing and stand in the attention stance. And I remember my instructor calling me out. He said, "Everyone, look at Andrea for a minute." I was like, what the heck is happening? Am I doing it that bad? Am I not? I don't even know how to stand and focus. And he said, her attention stance, her focus is like impeccable. And I was like a statue, like I didn't move, I just straight ahead. And I thought, wait a minute, I'm doing something good. I'm doing something better than other people are doing. And all it is this one stance. And that really was a defining moment for me. It was enough to tell me that if I could do this well, I'm sure I could do some of these other things well. I could stand out if I wanted to. I really had. Martial arts was the first time I ever gave anything 100% effort. I was always afraid of the failure aspect. Never wanted to give anything. I always just did average. And on that day when I did something excellent, that changed everything for me.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of individuals do that. You know, more likely in the first test when they get picked, not picked on, but when they get chosen to become an example, then they realize that, wait a minute, I'm doing something right. I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
And many others are when you tell them, help me in teaching class. Then they realize, like, wait a minute, now the self-confidence is already built up enough for me to go out there and speak in front of people. You know,
Yeah.
and so either you're going to swim or drown right then and there. And you can see people that are teaching, or I see it in some of the kids that they're not kids, and now they're young men and women. But you know, you see them and you tell them, teach class for me, and they're teaching class, and you see that aura that they present of everybody, that confidence that's already there. And then you say, okay, I did something right.
Yeah.
You know, so
That's
you
a
know,
good
you know what
example.
I'm saying. You know that, and you see that once they start teaching, it kind of just everything falls together in one.
Yeah. Yeah. Great example as well. There are many moments. For me, that particular one was a defining moment, but many other moments as well.
And you see what I see, and I don't know if you've, and I'm pretty sure you all have seen it, is when you have kids that are going to, they're very shy.
Yeah.
They become very talkative.
Yeah.
They become very
Amazing.
talkative. And all of a sudden, you know, when, you know, he wouldn't say a word for the first 4 months. Now he's talking left and right. Now he's talking your ear off. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so you're like,
Yeah.
you can tell that the confidence is already inside him.
Yeah. The whole body image changes everything. So it really is an amazing transformation when we talk about that. Yeah.
So let's go on with the next one.
Okay. So the next one is a little more traditional. It's the fitness benefit. And I always say, if you're going to exercise, if you have an interest in exercising or you're already exercising, why not do the exercise with a purpose, which is martial arts? So much exercise involved. And you have warm-ups, you have techniques to practice, you have, you know, all the physical parts of self-defense and martial arts. You have moments of meditation, you have ability to learn new things. So when it comes to fitness, if you really want to do something for yourself that's really multidimensional, you know, you're going to lose weight, you're going to get fit, you're going to reach a lot of those personal goals that you have. But then you're also going to become competent in a martial art. You're going to learn self-defense. You're going to help other people. It spreads, you know, wildly. So the fitness aspect is really great. I was probably in the best shape of my life when I was training a lot more than I do now. And it also has that mental component where you just feel so good about yourself. Sometimes it felt like I was a long distance runner after class. You know, you get that euphoria, that feeling of, wow, I really put in a lot of energy and effort, and I came out feeling so much better about myself. So it really is that great fitness with a purpose. And whatever, you know, many women have different reasons for learning martial arts. As we talked about, a lot of times it's because of self-defense, but often it's because she wants to get in shape. She wants to try something that's challenging. She wants to do something that's different in her life, that takes her away from the average, ordinary day. And it makes women stand out. If you're a woman who wants to, you know, you have some kind of positive messages to share with the world. Well, if you're a woman martial artist, you kind of stand out and you kind of get opportunities to do those things. So it really, it transforms women, many women. Again, I always go back to childbearing because that's one of the main differences between men and women. But, you know, I practiced martial arts through my pregnancies. It made me a stronger person. It made me able to give birth easily. So, you know, the fitness aspect helped me lose the weight afterwards. And for all of us, we all need fitness. We know that in our world, especially in the United States, there's a lot of weight issues. There's a lot of illnesses that can be helped if you take the time to sort of focus on yourself. And I think I think martial arts allows that in many different ways.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And conditioning is one thing that we need to understand, that we always have to be in there, and we can change it, and we can change the way the conditioning is, whether it's kicking or punching or whatnot, and I bring this to an example that was told to me by a great instructor in the martial arts. He said, once I had a student that he used to do a lot of security work, and I told him, you have to start conditioning your hands. And that student said, no, I'm fine. But he stopped somebody and he broke his hand. He came back and he says, can you teach me how to condition your hands? Yeah. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of elements within the martial arts that we have to be protected. We have to understand, whether it's conditioning our mind, conditioning our hands, or conditioning our legs, kicking, and so on and so forth. Because once you stop, they're not the same anymore. Or we might think we have the same kick that we had 10 years ago. We don't. We have to continue moving forward. We have to continue practicing, because it leaves you.
Right. I think the fitness aspect really, the name of your show kind of captures that fight for your health. Think about martial arts. We think about fighting in a good way, or defending, if you want to look at it that way. You constantly need to fight for your health, and you need to fight for it in the ways that work for you. Martial arts is one way that we're talking about today, and especially for women, that provides health benefits, beyond compare to anything else that you do. So it really is important, the conditioning, the physicality, everything that you think of when you think of a martial art. Those things are very important. And while I talk a lot about the other aspects of martial arts, fitness really is a key component, obviously, for better health.
And you can get in physical shape while you're doing martial arts. I get this from a lot of women. I get I get this when they say, well, I really want to go learn. And I go, come on over, classes are this hour, this hour, this hour, this hour. You can learn with us, you can learn with my wife, what have you. And they say, no, but first I'm going to get in shape before I go.
Yeah.
You're going to get in shape while doing it, give it a chance,
Right.
I'm going to go
that's funny.
Get in shape before I go over there and learn. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, I remember sort of feeling that way myself, I think, when I began, and I think that's a big misconception. So that's a funny point. To round out my 10, the next one is a little more serious. I touched on it a little bit earlier, and it's about overcoming abuse. Self-defense, to me, is something you should do beforehand, but a lot of times people, wait until they've been in a situation, and that's okay. When I interview women on my podcast, the Martial Arts Women podcast, I'd say 75% have suffered some kind of abuse, sexual abuse situations, unwanted situations, and they find it difficult to move on. They need something that reminds them of their self-worth, of their own empowerment, of their ability to be productive and happy in their lives moving forward. Some of these situations are devastating. But when they learn the martial art, they're able to at least recognize that they can move forward. Again, it touches on everything that I've mentioned, including the confidence piece. I am worth something. Maybe this person tried to take my self-worth from me, but I can't let that happen. I need to improve myself. I need to strengthen myself. I need to get in better shape. I need to have the flexibility in my mind that I can protect myself. And so for women, it's ultimately important to learn a martial art if they've been in a situation that was out of their control, because it helps them to move forward. Of course, counseling and all the other things, whatever they need, is important to move forward as well. But the martial art provides that mind, body, spirit balance that really helps them get past abusive situations in their lives and recognize their own self-worth, which is important for their future and for their success.
Absolutely.
So,
You
So
know,
was that the 10th reason?
no, that was the 9th reason.
Oh, 9th reason? Okay.
you know, I'm going to touch base on that because a month ago I was touching base with a Texas Ranger here, I won't mention his name. And we're sitting down, we're having coffee, we're talking about martial arts. We're talking about shutting off the emotions and so on and so forth. He goes, Paul, what most women that go to the martial arts go because just what you said, they've had a situation in the past and they're going to join. He goes, but how can you prepare a woman that if she ever uses it, it's probably going to be 100 times more than a man's going to use it? And I said, what do you get? And name's Dale. And I said, what are you getting at? And he goes, what I'm getting at is that a woman's more likely going to defend herself against somebody that she loves or she knows personally because they're trying to abuse her in a certain way. And I said to myself, I've never thought about that, you know? And he goes, but men will end up getting in a fight, probably in a bar or somebody else. Yeah, they might know who they are, but it's not somebody that they trust and they have confided in,
Yeah,
or somebody
yeah.
that they even love, in comparison to what women can go through. It goes, how can you prepare for that? And I go, you know what? You have an excellent question, because that goes into a whole combative mindset that right there nobody has ever really touched on.
Yeah.
You know, women, how can we prepare our young girls that, you know what, your boyfriend, the one that you like a lot, might end up getting a little bit more aggressive and you're going to have to stop him? How can we prepare that? You know, we're talking that way, but what you said brought that conversation back into mind, and that's something that maybe we should look into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's something that we have to consider when we're thinking about women and how martial arts affect women's lives. A lot of us, you know, I've never been sexually abused, but, you know, I lived in a time period where women were not held in high esteem. You know, I remember working a job at a hotel and walking across the lawn and the manager and someone else whistling at me. And they were my employer. So, you know, women have overcome a lot of different obstacles over time and a lot of discrimination type issues. And, you know, it helps, in martial arts help you overcome those memories and then also those situations. So, which leads me really to my last topic here. And this is an unusual one. And I call it increased capacity for love. As a martial artist, I know it's unusual, that's why I saved it for last. As a martial artist, I really learned a lot about love through martial arts. First of all, I trained and taught martial arts with my husband my entire life. I, you know, taught some of my own children. I have 4 kids. 2 of them became black belts. 1 became an instructor with us. And it was such a beautiful family bond that learning and training in martial arts with people that you love is really an exceptional experience. Teaching underprivileged kids in a situation where I almost adopted a couple of kids because their caregiver passed away and they had nowhere to go. I mean, I just had that increased capacity for loving other people and wanting to care for them. And then in my own classes, our kids' classes, for instance, when the kids got hurt or scared or whatever, they would always turn to me. And I would give them that sort of motherly love, but remind them just get back out there and keep going. But for me, maybe this is just a personal experience. I really, I found that I really had a bigger capacity to love other people and to respect them. And I taught adults, and the women always looked at me as a role model for doing the things that I do. And that was always very important to me also. So, and a bit of an unusual ending to our, top 10 reasons women should use martial arts as their fitness activity, as their activity in life. And that is that you're going to find so much more to your learning and become a different person because of it. And I think that you'll find that you really, you love life and you love other people a lot more than you did before.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more. And thank you for bringing that forward, because those are topics that sometimes others do not see as what's going on. And now that you brought it up, we have an ability to understand that it's there and we can work with it. And it's all about education. It's all about education. And I think that's what you just said. You educated us. You educated me.
Well, good. I did something good then.
Well, I know for me personally, I feel that, through my own family, watching, my wife and my daughter, their participation in martial arts, just how empowered they are compared to some other women. And the other thing is that I generally wanted to personally thank you for being here on the Fight for Your Health TV show pilot episode. So you've really helped kind of set the pace and tone for the future shows that we have here. And I just want to personally thank you for that and for helping us to bring this cause forward to the public. And so I've got a couple of call to actions here that I want to say. One, I'd like for everybody to visit your website, themartialartswoman.com. And number two, make sure that you click the like, comment, and share this video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. This has been our pilot episode. I'm Richard Hackworth, and I'll turn it back over to you, Professor.
Folks, thank everybody, because there's a lot of content out there, and in choosing, and hopefully you all choose us and keep us abreast. And if you have any questions, send it in, place it on the comments, or you can send. We'll have the emails there. You can send it to my email, as well as you can send it to GM Hackworth, and we can go ahead and touch base on what's out there, what's needed to know, because there's a lot of questions out there that sometimes we as instructors are afraid to ask. You see folks out there and they don't want to ask it, then later on it comes out in a conversation, then you realize that, what, I'm learning. Today was a very beneficial show because Andrea taught us a lot because, number one, we look at things as our own experiences and how we teach and how we're bringing something, a pedagogy or a curriculum out. And when you have a different viewpoint, now you can understand why and how we can approach to teaching women and so on and so forth. And I think that is excellent. That is excellent. And I do encourage everybody to go ahead and buy her book. And one more time, I want to thank you, Andrea, to keep on coming on the show. And if there's something new, please call us and come on out.
I will. Thank you guys so much. I had a wonderful time. I always love sharing my perspectives. I think I've learned a lot in martial arts, and I've learned a lot in life. So I like to combine those two things and hopefully inspire other people to continue on in their journeys too. So thanks again. I really had a wonderful time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's our pleasure. And I'll leave you guys with this. You all stay safe and be safe, and stop living in fear. Till next time. Peace.